Hi everybody, it's Jen here doing my third Project Life process video. I will start off by saying I did a little bit differently this month. I did my Kill a Kit video and it's posted right now, and it showed all the stuff that I had left that I was going to use for Project Life, and I had completely meant to show at the beginning of this video and I forgot, so I apologize. So if you want to see what supplies I'm pulling from, go and have a look at that video. I think it's only like 6 minutes long or something, and if you skip right close to the end, I do show you. Actually, probably, sorry, I lie, it's in the middle. Anyways, I'm using my leftover pattern paper and embellishments from my February Hip Kit. And you can see here I'm just picking from the Project Life cards that I made with my scraps. So I'm just doing it the same way I've done the last couple of videos, doing 2 weeks at the same time. And this time, the way I have it set up, I'm actually going to do both weeks like this the whole time. So please let me know if this works, or if you prefer me to do a week at a time. If you can see it better, I'm not really sure if it's really, I haven't quite figured out how to zoom in or anything yet because I'm just using my iPhone. But what I'm doing here is bouncing it off, so I have that really pretty Webster's Pages dotted paper in the top corners, and that's going to be where I'm going to put what week it is, or my date actually. I use the same Heidi Swap dotted paper in the bottom where there's the smaller squares, and then I use that same paper in the 3x4 slots on the outsides just to balance. And then I've done the same thing in the middle. I've done two of sort of that pale minty greens beside each other, and then I actually cut a 4x6 piece of paper with that large hot pink dot for either side of that, and I think that kind of balances this out nicely without being too busy, at least I hope not. This kit was quite bright. I tend to like the bright colors, but I'm not really a hot pink person, but I went with it anyways this time. And what I'm doing is, because they're fairly busy patterns, I'm trying to pull in some of my other scraps to go in behind or accent in a little bit. So I've used scraps from the 6x6 paper pad, and then just the bits that I have in the box. So here had to cut because my ATG actually ran out. So that was my very first roll with my ATG, and I'm actually starting to finally get used to it. Although you'll see I switched to my little Tombow dot adhesive when I get down to the small pieces, but I am finally getting used to it. My only complaint really is I'm a lefty, and for other lefties out there, you will know the way that it feeds, you kind of have to contort your arm a bit sometimes if you're trying to be really specific about where you put it, because it's feeding from the left, and so you can't, when you're holding it in your left hand, it's hard to see where exactly you're putting the tape down. So if you're just doing rough work like this, it's pretty easy to do. Okay, so I think I have most of the basics already stuck down now, and I've just moved on to some of the washi tape that came with the kit. The other thing I want to point out, and it's pretty minor, but it's a change for me, is I decided to go with having a white border on all of my photos. So I printed my 4x6s with a border, and then made sure that I could leave a border on all the other photos when I had them printed. So I still do all my ordering and printing the same way. I've just made sure I have a border. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going through the chipboard pieces, so that piece right there that you see that was left over, that was in the embellishment kit this month, and just seeing how many of those pieces that I can use up here. That was a gold clothespin. I'm using a Saturday and Sunday little pieces of chipboard because that's what days of the week these were, just happened to work out. Another little piece of washi tape there, and I'm just basically going to spend the rest of this going through and figuring out how to use up the bits. I try not to pull in from anywhere else and just use this kit up. So right now those are the Evilicious puffy stickers. I think in the end I used all that I had left on this layout, which was I think 4 or 5 or something like that, and just tried to scatter them somewhat evenly across this 2-week spread. as I've said before, while I'm doing these like this, there's almost always, usually always, layouts that go in between these spreads in my book. However, those layouts tend to be made with the same kit, so everything works. But I'm just finding doing these 2 weeks at the same time and balancing them and going, okay, well, if I have this card on this side and this card on, then I put the same card on the other side, it's just speeding up the process for me, because this is, you know, they're smaller moments, and while they're still important, it's nice that I can do these a bit faster. So yeah, and it worked out really nicely. There was My Mind's Eye, I believe, bits and pieces pack, and it had some black numbers, and I just happened to have the right numbers to do my dates, which was awesome. And here I'm just pulling from my stash. I had that big black ampersand and a little word grow, and so I pulled out more green, and so it says learn and grow, because I've posted my son doing a science experiment for school, and then the one on the left on the bottom is him having done a big pyramid for a project for his humanities course. So now what am I doing? I'm just working on my dates. So I pulled 2 of the 3x4 cards and added those to the 4x6 cards for the dates, just to make it a little bit more interesting, and honestly to break up a bit of that pattern. I really love that pattern, but I do find it draws your eye, and so I thought the green kind of maybe toned it down a little bit. And I'm using the thickers that came with the kit this month, or the February kit I should say, as well, and just made it simple. I did the date exactly the same on both sides, so easy peasy, get her done. And I just happened to have that little piece sitting on my desk because I'd used it on another spot, and so I just tucked it in there, and I no longer have that scrap. And really that was the only thing I was thinking is, oh, that would probably look pretty good, and then that scrap is used up. So there you go. That's my thinking. Because I already had these thickers out, I thought I would add them to a couple more places on here because they're such a cool font. And while I said I'm not a big hot pink fan, this font is really cool and it looks good with these papers, so I used it. So I put T on there, and I've actually used a less than sign and a 3, just like you would on Facebook or Twitter or something, to do a love, because I made heart pizzas for my family for Valentine's Day. That was my little contribution to the family. And I'm pretty sure I put them on somewhere else. I don't remember where, but I'm very sure I put them on, oh, I think I put them on the left. There you go. We'll see when they come. So I'm getting pretty close to the end here. I have stuck down a rub-on, in that bottom right corner. I've written on one of those tags, and almost all these tags have been stuck down. And right now I'm just looking at them all from the viewpoint of what do I want to write and how much room do I need. So here's a slightly larger tag, and again, this is just what was left in that bits and pieces from my kit. I'm trying not to pull in anything I don't need to from outside the kit and use it up. And then I'm not putting more stuff into my fairly considerable stash. However, the nice thing is, if I needed to pull from my stash, there's stuff there to do it with. And that's usually what I have used for Project Life in the past, is just my stash. But I quite like using up these last bits from my kit rather than putting them in my scraps or putting them in the recycling. So having a look, thinking, oh, and now I'm on this one. I think this is the last one I have left to do journaling on. You'll notice too that I have some cards there from a cut apart sheet we got this month in a blank space, and what I've been trying to do for every week is leave a blank space if possible without a photo, and that way if I feel like I want to write more I can, and I could also write more on the date card in the top corner, but just to leave it as a filler card, just so it's not so busy, because there's really no rhyme or reason when I take my photos. I just take a photo of stuff. A lot of times now I'm using Instagram, so they're square, and I find, of course, that means my project life is getting busier because it's not all just large photos, and I'm using all these little bits. So I'm trying to leave that space now, just so you can rest your eye a little bit. So here I've moved on to the other week. Starting to do some journaling there, pulling out some more cards. Here I'm actually writing right on the photo because I didn't leave myself a lot of room, and I'm just using a white jelly pen. It wasn't the greatest. I should have grabbed my new one, but you can still read it, so it is just fine. And what am I doing here? I'm pulling out black letters, I believe for that photo, yeah, right there. I've done a layout for that photo. And so I don't feel like I need to write anything on there. I just put a little sort of title on there, and there's going to be a layout that's directly across from it. And I'm just popping that sweet up on some pop dots. And there we go. That was the very last puffy sticker I had left. I stuck it on there. Okay, so I'm doing this bottom one now, writing in a little bit of journaling. And here I was like, oh, I have a giant pink arrow. I should point that to the little phrase which says, life is an adventure, I believe. And then I just felt like I needed to add a little bit more down there. And, oh, and I'm putting some enamel dots. Enamel dots is always a sign of me getting close to being done. I don't know if it's like that for everybody else, but for me, it's usually a sign I'm getting close. So for that last one there, there's actually a picture of quiche that I made. It was the first time I had made it in a really long time, and everybody in the family loved it, so I took a picture of it. But that tag that I had on there, it didn't like it. And here you go. Here's where I put those other pink stickers. I think I put yum on there. Didn't really need to say anything other than it was quiche, and it was yum. So that was it. So coming up, it's really rainy here the last few days, and so I'm going to actually just put the video on regular speed, and I'm going to show you close-ups, go through them fairly quickly, but close-ups of all of the cards, because it's just been so rainy. It's been really hard for me to get decent photos, and I wanted to just get this video edited and ready to put up. So yeah, I just did it that way. So let me know if that works. In some ways, I think it might mean you actually can see them a little bit more close up, but you could hit pause if you wanted to look at something. So here I am back with enamel dots. I added some gold tile thickers on the top of that photo of my kids that are sick, and I actually spelt out sickies. Sorry, it's really hard to see that card. It's just the light. I'm still working on the lighting. I've got my camera a little bit better, but I do need to work on the lighting. My scrap room's in a basement, and I'm not near natural light, so it makes it hard to get the light in a way that it doesn't cause any glare, and unfortunately that one spot is an issue. So I'm working on it. Maybe a different lamp or something. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to have to do. The last thing I have, I'm just adding a little bit more to that. I switched those two photos just a minute ago from the top left to the bottom right from my February 9th to the 15th. I just thought they looked better that way, and then added a little bit of more detail on that one. And what am I doing here? Let's see. Just adding last little bits. I added a 3 onto that middle card on the far right because my kids had taken 3 helpings of a new meal that I had made, and it was quite impressive. They're at the age right now where their appetites are just starting to hit preteen levels, and so it still shocks me when they eat so much. And these 2 filler cards here are actually cut aparts from the Chamel collection that I just pulled out of my stash. So here you go. This is me doing a quick close-ups for you with my camera. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will let you watch the rest without listening to me. And thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.